Hey everyone, I'm Kayla. I figured today I would talk to you about breastfeeding. I have been breastfeeding for almost a year and a half, and it's been quite a journey. Depending on your stress level, your environment, just you as a person, your body, anything in this world could affect your milk supply. You can't really blame yourself if you can't breastfeed your baby. I just want to go ahead and get that out there because, you see a lot of moms out there who, when they can't breastfeed, they go into depression and they feel like a failure to their baby. It's just, I've been there, It started, I didn't make very much milk. And then my son couldn't latch, and that was super stressful. Even with the nipple shield, whenever I would use the nipple shield, he would be so frustrated and so hungry that he would be just throwing his arms around, and he would end up knocking off the nipple shield, and it would be like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted. He's exhausted. He's hungry. He doesn't understand what's going on. He's a newborn, just like a week old. And the frustration, he would just knock the nipple shield off and then scream because I'm not going fast enough. And I would have to work to put it back on. And when you're doing it with one hand and holding the frustrated baby with the other hand, it's not an easy task. That just made it slower. And it's just, that was kind of like an every night thing for me for a couple months, maybe a little longer. But we made it. My milk supply fluctuated in the beginning. I was doing like 5 ounces out of one side for a while. But then when my child was a week old, we were told that he had a rare disease. That's a whole another video. I don't want to get into that. But he had a rare disease, and we had to go to UK in Lexington to get a bunch of tests done. And after we got the diagnosis, my milk supply went down. I wanted to stop breastfeeding because I felt like what he was getting from me, just like, it was pointless. I went from getting 5 ounces out of one side to getting maybe 2 ounces out of both, pumping for a good hour and only getting 2 ounces out of both sides. Like, not 2 sides, 2 ounces each. 2 together. It's stressful and it's frustrating, but it's not our fault if we can't make enough for our babies. It just happens. And some mothers, they just don't produce milk. And then other mothers, like my sister, produce so much that you can donate it. People who donate their breast milk to help other people, that is amazing. Breastfeeding positions. I couldn't really do as many positions to breastfeed my son when he was a newborn. It was very difficult for me. I couldn't really get into a comfortable position with him. So I had a bobby pillow, which was under my boobs. And that was the easiest way for me for a long time. Or I would sit and I would be propped back on pillows with my knees up. The side he's nursing on, I would have that arm under his head, and he would nurse like that, and his body would rest on my legs. And that was the easiest way. The football hold, really could not do that. Laying on the side and letting them nurse, I couldn't do that for a long time. And the entire time I breastfed until he was able to sit up, I had to hold the top of my boob so that it wouldn't smother him. So for a long time, I would just sit there for a good hour, not doing anything but watching him breastfeed. And I mean, it's magical, but after a little while of just doing that over and over, I'm not gonna say it gets boring. You want to look at your phone or something, you know? I mean, I could watch TV, but I don't want to watch TV the entire time I'm breastfeeding. As a new mother, if you're breastfeeding, that's every 2 hours. I don't want to be watching TV every 2 hours, you know? You, as a new mother, could figure out the positions that work for you. Everyone is different. A lot of times, mothers will tell you that it is super painful and it's the worst thing they've felt and they just didn't want to do it anymore. There's nipple cracking, bleeding, all of that. I guess I got lucky in that way because I couldn't feel it when he breastfed. Like, I knew it was happening and I could feel it because of that, I guess. But there was no pain. My nipples didn't crack. I didn't bleed. None of that. The worst thing is when he got teeth and he bit me. And that is not fun. And then pumping, I had a Mandela, I think that's what it's called. You can control the suction and how fast it goes and all of that. It was very nice. I really enjoyed having a pump that was so easy to use. Pumping wasn't hard at all. It was just holding it. If you don't want to hold it, because it's annoying, it's also in the line of when your baby is breastfeeding and you have to hold your boob and you can't do anything else. It's pretty much the same thing with pump. It's super easy to clean. It's easy to take apart, easy to clean, easy to dry. Also, they have on their website, if I can find it, I'll link it below, your insurance could possibly pay for that pump for you, which my insurance did, and that was awesome. Okay, how do you get the milk out without the baby nursing and without pumping? So you put your hand like this, say your areola is here, it's here, nipples here, and you would have your hand there, cup it good, and then like squeeze a little bit and then push back onto your boob, and that's what works for me. That's also a good way to get a letdown. The last thing I will talk about in this video is positions for the baby to nurse once they're around a year old, and twiddling. My son nurses now at nap time, usually most of the time, and bedtime. At bedtime, I will sit on bed, I will have my knees up like I had mentioned before, but he will be beside me pointing the opposite way, and he will lean over on me, have his head kind of like this, and he will nurse that way and go right to sleep. Okay, so twiddling. It is when your baby is nursing and they just reach over and they start, you know, just twiddling your other nipple. My son does a thing where he has nails. I try to clip them, but he freaks out, so I have to catch him asleep and do it. Anyways, his nails will dig into my nipple, and it's quite painful, and he will do this number, but then he will yank it and just pull it. It's like he's trying to rip it off, and it is awful, awful. It's best to just stop them from doing that once they start, like immediately put a stop to it. If you're like me and it didn't hurt at first, so you let it continue, don't do that. Don't. See, at first I didn't have feeling in my nipples after I had my baby. I guess I got feeling back. So when he does that, it feels like someone's trying to rip my nipple off with pliers. So just stop that as soon as it starts. You will thank me later. Don't be negative. Try to be as positive as you can about it. Don't really focus on what other mothers say. Do things at your own pace. Do things the way you think will work for you. Don't try to do it the way they do it. Because I did that and it made things more complicated. And I stayed stressed because I couldn't do it like them. Do what works for you. Don't put yourself down. If you're not making enough milk, look up ways to improve your milk supply. There are drinks, teas, food, there's so many things that could improve your milk supply. And just try to stay as positive as you can. Just adding this in, I'm going to add a part 2 later on because I have a lot more to talk about. So if you want part 2, just, I guess, like this video or don't like this video and I'll post it anyways.